Hi, baby. CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast. Ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. You know, gang, it's pretty common knowledge that many of the islands dotting the great Pacific Ocean are lonely bits of land, very small and very quiet. Well, when our soldiers were stationed there during the war, USO camp shows helped a lot, and so did movies. And then, of course, there were the Goonie Birds. The Goonie Birds are funny-looking and funny acting, and they did more than their share in keeping American fighting men in good humor. Many of the naval and marine aviators stationed on the little island of Midway thought the Goonies should have been awarded some kind of a medal for all the entertainment they provided. And what was it about these birds that kept the men so amused? Well, first, the Goonies try to be dignified, but it doesn't come off. The more dignified they act, the more humorous they are. The Goonie Birds even have a dance all their own, which consists of raising and lowering their heads and making a whinnying noise while they clack their bills. Of course, the birds take this dance very seriously, but not so the human flyers. Now, in the matter of hatching eggs, the male Goonie bird takes turns with the female in sitting, and a lot of eggs were hatched. During the war years, when Midway was a large forward base for the Pacific Command, there were plenty of planes taking off and landing all the time. But even with them as examples, the baby Goonie birds were slow in learning to fly themselves. They used to like being tossed into the air by the prop wash of the Navy planes. And when the pilot cut his throttle, the birds would spin in, squawking at him. I'll be back later to tell you more about the Goonie birds, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. As a cloud-flecked afternoon sky casts a weird, ever-changing pattern of light and shadow on the open rangeland of Texas far below, a sleek, streamlined Beechcraft biplane, its powerful engine drumming smoothly, holds a northwesterly course for Lakeville. In the cabin, Tank, Gail Nolan, and young Christopher Cross sprawl comfortably in their seats, relaxing after their arduous adventure in South America, while Hop acknowledges a message shortwave from the nearby radio range station.
443, message received. Kindly relay acknowledgement back to New Orleans. That is all. Over and out.
What was that all about, Hop?
Well, the wind-up.
The wind-up? Of what?
The Lakeville Bell. Everything's wrapped up and tied in a pretty knot.
Well, what happened? Tell us, Hop.
That message was relayed from New Orleans, from John Temple.
And?
He had a report from our embassy in Buenos Aires. They got the Army plane we used, and the police finally arrived at Mendez Ranch in Cañada Verde.
Finally. How did they go? By dog sled?
Did they catch Vogel?
Yes, he put up a fight, and, well, he lost.
Oh, I get it.
What about the bill? Did John say what would be done with it?
Uh-huh. The government's taking over.
Gosh, they better. Who else can handle $10 million worth of gold?
And they're turning it back to France, the rightful owners.
Oh, I'm glad.
Hey, easy, Hop.
Yeah, sorry, fella.
Almost dumped me out of my seat. What's the idea?
Just edging over to give that pilot some room. He seems to need the whole sky.
Huh? What pilot?
Back of us, on my side.
Oh, I see him. Say, he's got a nice-looking ship. Stinson, ain't it?
Yeah.
Chris.
Huh?
Don't ever let Aunt Agatha hear you say that.
Say what?
Ain't.
Oh, well, Tank says it.
Well, that's no recommendation. He needs lessons in grammar worse than you do.
Hey, now, wait a minute. Don't drag me into this.
Oh.
Hop, for the love of Pete.
Sorry, but that Stinson keeps edging over on us.
Dope, what's he think he's doing?
First, I thought he wanted to pass us, but he keeps holding back.
He's on the wrong side for passing anyhow.
Our Beechcraft is faster, Hop. Why don't we just pull away?
Well, I'm at cruising speed now, and we're rated higher at cruising than a Stinson is wide open.
That baby must be souped up plenty.
What's he doing now? Still holding back and to the left.
Some hotshot with bright ideas, I'll bet.
Say, there's two men in the cabin. One of them's watching us through field glasses. Hop, look out!
Hang on.
No, Jenny!
Hop, what's the matter?
The fools cut right over me. Their landing gear just missed our fin.
They're over on my side now. Hey, you stupid jerk, sheer off. You want to kill yourself?
Say nothing of us.
It's fools like them that give private flying a bad name.
Say, what's that funny mark in the fuselage?
Where?
Right in front of the tail section. Sort of a zigzag line in a ring. See it?
Oh, yeah. Looks like a streak of lightning in a circle. You recognize it, Hop?
Never saw it before.
Hey, heads up. They're edging over again.
That's enough. Brace yourselves.
Hop, what are you doing?
giving them some of their own medicine.
Just cutting it awful close, pal.
Let's see if they can take it as well as dish it out.
They're holding, Hop. We're going to lock wings.
Oh, my God.
Oh, brother, that was close. If they hadn't sheared off.
Hop, you took an awful chance.
Sorry, Gail, but I got sore. Where's the Stinson now, Tank?
About 2,000 feet under us. They had enough. They're hightailing it off to the east.
Good riddance.
Now, what do you suppose they were up to?
I should have taken their registration number and reported them to the CIA.
Oh, well, they're gone now. They won't bother us no more. Get it? Let's relax.
But even as the boys and Gail and Chris settle back in their seats and continue normal flight routine, several miles to the east, in the strangely marked Stinson, the pilot shortwaves a laconic message to an unidentified receiver.
Patrol 3 reporting. Sighted Beechcraft on northwesterly course. Registration NC82043. Organization insignia lacking. Successfully completed operation. Have the pictures. Learn home airport and make out necessary papers. That is all.
A half hour later, after the Beechcraft crosses the Texas state line, Hop circles a small private field and settles for a landing.
Fasten your belts, everyone. Turning into the approach.
Say, Hop,
Yes, Chris.
think we can get something to eat there?
Now, there's a kid after my own heart.
Oh, honestly, Chris, you're getting to be more like Tank every day.
Oh, gosh, I can't help it if I'm hungry, Miss Nolan.
That's the way, Chris. You tell her.
How about speaking for yourself, Tank?
Heads up. Going in. Okay. We're down.
Well, can we get something to eat, Hop?
Well, sure, if they have a lunch counter here.
Which I don't think.
Oh.
See the gas pumps, Tank?
Yeah, over there by the hangar.
Check.
Somebody just came out of the hangar. He's waving us in.
Good.
All clear on the right.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're right in front of the pumps. Cut her.
Okay, let's pile out.
Oh, I'll be glad to stretch my legs.
Here, hold on to my hand, Miss Nolan.
Thanks, Chris.
Oh, where's that fellow you saw?
Huh? Oh, he was here a minute ago. Waved us in on my right.
Anything I can do for you?
Oh, there he is, by the tail.
Gosh, what's he doing there?
Quiet, Chris.
Oh, we'd like some gas, please. And will you check the oil, too?
Gas and oil, huh?
Hey, why does he keep looking at our ship like that?
You've got me.
Like to see your card first.
Card?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you mean my pilot certificate?
No, I mean your card. Your organization card.
What are you talking about? What organization card?
Oh, you haven't got one, huh?
No, not until you explain it, at least.
Don't need any explanations. If you haven't got a card, you ain't in the organization.
So what? Look, all we want is gas and oil.
No gas. No oil.
What?
You heard me. No gas, no oil. And you better get this ship off my field pronto.
Hey, wait a minute. Come back here.
Get this ship off my field.
What's the matter with him?
There's a little squirt. I got a half a mind.
Tank, hold it.
Huh?
Look at the insignia on the hangar.
Jumping Jennies. The bolt of lightning again.
Puzzled frowns lining their foreheads, Hop, Tank, Gale, and Chris stare at the strange emblem, then, almost as one, turn and examine the line of planes staked out on the apron. Again, each is marked with a jagged streak of lightning. What's this mean? And why have the boys been refused gas? We'll know more in just a moment, gang, so stand by. At the beginning of Hop Harrigan, we were talking about the Goonie birds, and if there's anything outstanding about the Goonies, it's their independence. When it comes to flying, the bird disregards traffic rules, wind direction, and all other flight requirements. When a Goonie gets ready to take off, he just takes off in the direction he happens to be facing. It's a little different from the average bird, for most of them can start flying from a standing position. The Goonie, however, must build up a little airspeed before he can leave the ground. He does this by running like mad down a smooth stretch of ground, wildly flapping his wings. If he happens to be headed downwind, he'll lumber along for a long distance, often do a ground loop or run full speed into a sandhill. Then he'll get up and, brushing himself off and looking around with that, "Hey, who pushed me?" expression on his face, he'll try again, still ignoring wind direction. Sometimes the Goonie will start his takeoff in the shelter of a building where there's no wind at all. And about the time he gets airborne, he will emerge from the shelter of the structure, go into a side slip, and crash into the ground because of a crosswind. When that happens, the bird usually will walk back to the same starting point and try it again. One naval flyer tells the story of a goony bird who decided to practice takeoffs from the roof of a building. He would take off from one end and land at the other, and then he'd walk back and start all over again. Well, he concentrated so hard in his practice he forgot where he was. And when he decided to stop, he stepped right off the end of the building and fell 2 stories to the pavement below. Say, gang, all branches of American aviation need flyers and technicians for the future. So always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Refused gas and oil, apparently because they did not belong to a certain unidentified organization, Hop, Tank, Gale, and Chris were forced to take off again with less than a quarter of a tank of gas in the beach. Now, 45 minutes later, in the growing dusk, Hop circles another small field, preparing for a landing.
In the approach, check your belts. We better check that field, too. See if there's any of them lightning marks down there.
It's too dark to see.
I'll have to get gas here, organization or no organization. Stand by, landing.
It ain't such a big place. There's only that one beat-up-looking hangar over there.
See the pumps?
No.
Well, I'll taxi to the hangar anyway.
Hey, somebody just came out of that little shack there.
But Jenny's has got a shotgun.
What in the world?
Hop, maybe we better take off again.
No, we can't, Gale. Our tanks are nearly dry.
Gosh, what a crummy-looking place this is.
Getting close to the hangar, Hop. He's off.
Right. Where's that fellow with the gun?
Standing in front of the hangar now.
Keep your eyes on him.
Don't worry, I am.
Okay. Chris, you and Gale stay where you are.
Hop, I don't see any of those funny lightning marks here.
That's a break.
Come on, Tank.
Be careful, Hop.
You stay put, Gale.
That guy keeps standing there watching us.
Good evening.
What do you want?
Friendly around here, ain't they?
Shut up. We need gas and oil.
Oh, yeah? Well, stand where you are.
Right. Oh, he's giving the ship a once-over. What are we, poison?
Look, we're not members of the organization, if that's what you're trying to find out.
What do you know about the organization?
Well, nothing, but we were turned down about 100 miles away because we weren't members. How do we stack up here?
Just fine, mister, just fine. There's the pump. Help yourself.
Well, swell. Thanks a lot. Go ahead, Tank.
You bet.
Say, what's this all about, anyhow? What kind of an
Look,
organization...
mister, don't ask no questions. Fuel up and get out of here fast.
Yes,
no questions, I said. It ain't healthy if you know too much.
Hey, there's a plane coming in fast.
What?
Hey, there it is. It's diving.
Hey, the jerk don't he have no sense? Get down fast.
What's going on here?
We're going to be bombed. Can't you see? Get down.
The airport manager shouts a frantic warning as the plane swoops low overhead and 3 small objects tumble out of the cabin. Hop and Tank hit the dirt, immediately recognizing hand grenades in the dim half-light. And also, the now all-too-familiar jagged streak of lightning. Gang, there's deep mystery here, and you won't want to miss a minute of it as Hop and Tank plunge into a rip-roaring new adventure. So tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Gang, the scheduled airlines have succeeded in conquering almost every conceivable hazard in flying. But there's one that seems to become worse as time goes on. That's the storm of paperwork and red tape that entangles anyone attempting to make a flight to an overseas point. This is true especially of Pacific air travel. For an example, let's take a normal flight of 30 passengers and 50 pieces of freight bound for Australia. More than 1,500 forms must be made out before the plane can take off. The airlines have succeeded in making some progress in simplifying the forms, but even so, 41 copies of a single form have to be made for distribution on a proposed flight around the world. The standard form for entrance into a country usually is one typewritten sheet. But if you go to Siam, you'll have to prepare one sheet 4 feet long. Here are a few more examples. For each passenger flying the Pacific, there must be 23 copies of 2 forms. If you're going to Honolulu, you need 18 more copies. For Canton, China, 14 copies. And that's how it runs all down through the Far East. All in all, the hard-working airline ground and flight personnel are snowed under an avalanche of forms and blanks. Incidentally, the United States shouldn't complain too harshly about others. Our country demands a raft of forms also for every overseas flight. The great hope lies in the work of the International Air Transport Association, which is doing its best to cut all the red tape and eliminate as much paperwork as possible. I'll be back later, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Heading back to Lakeville in the Beechcraft after a long flight from South America, Hop, Tank, Gail Nolan, and young Christopher Cross had a strange encounter with the pilot of a Stinson monoplane, who, flying recklessly, kept crowding Hop until the young pilot, his patience exhausted, turned on the smaller plane and drove it away. But before it disappeared, the boys noticed an odd insignia on the fuselage, a circle enclosing a jagged streak of lightning. They saw the same insignia again when they landed at a small private field to refuel and were refused gas and oil when Hop could not produce a certain organization card. Then, as we left the boys last time, they had landed at another field where they were given permission to gas up, but warned to leave at once. When Hop questioned the field manager about the strange insignia, he refused to answer, and just as Tank started to pump gas into the beach, they heard the spine-chilling wail of a plane diving straight down at them.
Get down, everybody! Get down flat! We're going to be bombed! Bombed? You kidding? Hey, shut up and duck! There, did you see? He dropped 3 grenades!
Pop, what's going on?
Oh,
Pop!
my gosh, I forgot about Gail and Chris.
Cover your heads and look out!
Number 1. 2. Stay put! No, murder! Pop! Pop, you're still in one piece?
Yeah. Gail, you all right?
No, we're both fine.
Gosh, Hop, what's happening?
You two stay where you are.
Pop, I saw the plane just when it pulled out. It was a Stinson.
I know, and had that lightning insignia.
Gosh, it sure made a mess out of that hangar. The whole front end's caved in.
Hey, fire starting in that wreckage. Get an extinguisher, quick.
Hey, fella, where's your extinguisher? Come on, snap out of it. It's all over.
Uh-oh.
What? He fainted?
Fainted nothing. He's hurt.
Oh, gosh.
Tank, take care of the fires before it hits the gas tank.
Yeah.
Gail,
Yes?
come here on the double. I need you.
Come in.
You want me to, Hop?
You better stand by. Tank may need you.
Okay.
What's the matter, Hop?
This poor chap, I think a chunk of the last grenade got him.
Oh.
Try to do something for him, will you?
No. He's pretty badly hurt. Not much I can do except emergency treatment. He needs a doctor.
Well, there may be a phone in his office. I'll see. Chris,
Yes, Hop?
help Miss Nolan.
You bet.
Chris, bring the first aid kit.
I'll be right back, Gail.
Pop, I got the extinguisher.
Good. Concentrate on the area around the pump.
Miss Nolan.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Give me 2 gauze pads.
Oh, here you are.
Thanks.
He's awful white. Think he'll be okay?
All right. I don't know, Chris.
I think I got it pretty well licked around the pumps. Anything I can do for you, Gail?
No, thanks.
I got a doctor. He's on the way. Swell. Call the state police. They're bringing him out. How is he, Gail?
He's unconscious. Suffering from shock. And the injury, of course. I've done all I can.
Pop,
Yeah.
hangar's a total loss. Just have to burn itself out.
That's a shame.
But the gas pumps are okay.
I'll stand by in case it sparks.
Yeah, I'm watching for him.
Hop, what happened anyhow?
Field was bombed, Chris, by the same plane we saw earlier this afternoon.
The Stinson, the one with that funny lightning mark on it?
Check.
Gosh, what's going on around here? A war or something?
Certainly seems that way.
But who are those guys anyway?
Pop, he's coming to.
Good.
Lightning strikes.
What'd he say? Lightning strikes. What's that mean?
Organization. Organization. No. No, I won't. Can't take the field away from me. I'll fight him. Field is mine.
Gosh, listen to him.
What organization? What does the streak of lightning mean?
Trouble. Want to take over. Take over.
Take over what?
Take. Pop, he shouldn't talk.
Take field. Take planes. Control. Flying.
There, he's unconscious again.
I guess he's better off that way.
But what did he mean, Hop?
Ask me something I can answer, will you?
Almost savagely, Hop snaps back at his pal and turns away to stare at the twisted, smoldering wreckage of the hangar, his eyes reflecting his inner bewilderment and worry. A few moments later, the siren of a police squad car is heard, and the doctor arrives to take charge of the injured man. Hop and Tank explain what has happened to the state troopers, but when they ask about the jagged insignia, the answer is vague. Unable to obtain any satisfying information, Hop asks permission to refuel from the still undamaged gas pumps, and when it is granted, he and Tank complete the job in 15 minutes. Soon after, they are airborne, resuming their flight home to Lakeville.
There's something I don't like about that lightning outfit. That's the understatement of the world. They're a bunch of strong-arm guys, pushing people around.
Couldn't the state troopers tell you anything about them, Hop?
No.
You made a complaint, though, didn't you? You told them about the Stinson with the insignia.
Of course, but they didn't seem to be very impressed by it. Said most of the planes around there had that insignia on the fuselage. What they needed was the registration number.
Oh, fine. With hand grenades dropping, we were supposed to pick out registration numbers.
Hop, we don't have to stop at any other field before we get home, do we?
No, next stop, Lakeville.
Thank goodness. And we can just cross this off as a bad nightmare and forget it.
Gail shudders and settles back in her seat. Just as several hundred miles to the northwest, in a small hotel room in Lakeville, two strangers are making plans.
Now, get this, Luigi. They land sometime tonight, so we lay low for a few hours. First thing in the morning, we pay the field a visit, and we try to sell them a bill of goods. They buy, fine. They get a little tough, we show them these papers. They still don't cooperate, we do some persuading. Got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, relax and enjoy yourself, Luigi, my boy. Tomorrow, we got ourselves a busy day.
The tall, heavy-set man addressed as Luigi turns away and lazily stretches out on the bed, his scarred features completely void of expression, while his companion concentrates on a set of papers on the desk, each one marked with a jagged streak of lightning. Gang, we'll bring you the action-packed climax of today's episode in just a moment, so stand by. One of the major post-war problems of our air arms has been what to do with all the planes built during the war. When the battle was on, America's factories turned out fighters, bombers, reconnaissance planes, and other types by the thousands. Well, of course, at that time, they were all needed on our widespread fighting fronts. Also during those years, with about 12 million men and women in our armed forces, there was no problem in manning and servicing the planes. However, since VJ Day, there has been a tremendous demobilization. All branches of the military are now down to skeleton size, and there are actually thousands of planes still in serviceable condition in the hands of the Air Force. But unfortunately, there aren't enough men to use or take care of them. Instead of scrapping most of them, they've decided to store them for possible use in the future. The Navy has come up with a novel idea, and they're putting their surplus planes in storage in bags, closed with the largest zippers you ever saw. The idea is to make up a giant coverall that will fit like a glove over an entire Navy plane and then zip it on. The covering is light and pliable and resists deterioration and rotting. A special plastic coating on the giant coverall adds more protection for the planes. The Navy estimates the new system, being developed by the Bureau of Aeronautics, will require only 30 man-hours of work for preserving and taking the plane out again for service. Well, that alone is worth all the effort required in making the zipper bags. For at present, it takes 120 hours to do the job. You know, gang, aviation is looking to the young people of today to provide flyers and technicians to man the planes of tomorrow. So plan to make your career in the air. For always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. It is late the following morning, and the memory of the events of the night before dim in their minds as Hop and Tank busy themselves in the airport office, clearing away the mound of paperwork piled up in their absence.
Bills, bills, and more bills. That's all the mailman seems to bring these days.
Let Gail take care of them.
Yeah. Hey, do I hear a car?
I'll see. Yeah, a couple of guys just got out. Brother, one of them's as big as the Empire State Building. What a puss on him.
Yeah, maybe some new customers.
Good morning.
Morning.
You Hop Harrigan, the owner of this field?
That's right.
Glad to know you. My name's Brown.
Well, how do you do? This is Tank Tinker, my partner.
Hi. Hello, Tinker.
And
Huh? Oh, him? He's my partner. Say hello, Luigi.
Hello.
Harrigan, I'll get right down to cases. We represent an organization of flyers and field managers.
An organization.
That's right.
your organization wouldn't have a jagged streak of lightning as an insignia, would it?
Oh, then you've heard of us already, eh? Fine.
Not so fine, Bub. Get out of here. We don't want no part of you.
Easy, Tinker.
Wait, Tank. Go ahead, Mr. Brown. What does your organization do?
Well, you see, we're kind of a club. We're set up all over the country. Everybody's joining.
For what purpose?
Well, for $1,000 a year, we give you airport owners protection. And it's another $100 a year for every pilot using your field.
I see. Protection against what?
Oh, lots of things might happen, chum. Lots of things. Private flying's pretty risky business. You ought to know that.
It isn't that risky.
Never can tell when accidents happen.
Sorry, no sale.
Now, wait a minute, Harrigan. You better think twice.
He don't need to think twice. Beat it.
I don't take that kind of talk, chum.
You take it from me. Beat it before I...
Luigi.
Watch it, Tank.
Before you what?
Tell that big ape to drop his gun, and I'll show you.
The gun is my protection, Tinker. Now, are you guys going to sign, or aren't you?
I support your racket, nothing doing.
Oh? Well, just take a look at these papers.
What are they, Hop?
Complaint to the CAA accusing us of reckless flying.
That's right. You remember yesterday afternoon?
What? You were the guy
Those pictures there show different.
Pictures?
Yes, Tank, a whole set of them showing us banking into them from the left.
A very bad violation, chum. Bad enough to get your certificate yanked. Well, want to join now?
Get out of here.
Huh?
You heard him. Get out.
No sale, huh? Okay, chum. You can keep them papers and think about them for a while. We got the originals.
I'm giving you exactly 2
Don't
seconds.
throw a fit, Tinker. We're going. But we'll be back. Hey, Luigi?
Yeah.
We'll be back real soon, and by then, you'll be crawling on your knees begging to join up. Be seeing you, suckers.
White-faced and trembling with almost uncontrollable anger, Hop and Tank stand where they are, staring at the closed door. Suddenly, the young pilot, in a violent gesture, crumples the papers clutched in his fist into a ball and throws them across the room. So, the mysterious organization has finally caught up with him. This is only the beginning of a new, rip-roaring, action-packed adventure, gang, so don't miss a single episode. Be sure to tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Say, gang, since the end of the war, there's been a lot of talk about push-button weapons. They say the next war will be waged from Central Control Headquarters thousands of miles apart. And it's not hard to figure out how people got that idea. But it is hard to make them see how wrong they are. Americans have produced great examples of engineering and inventive genius. And a lot of people take it for granted that this will continue. Our scientists and inventors are working hard probing the secrets of nature, but such a job takes a lot of time. It took long years of heartbreaking experiments to produce the gasoline motor and the electric light and the telephone. And that's why it's dangerous to our national defense to believe we can produce push-button weapons at the snap of a finger. Recently, Rear Admiral Dan Gallery, who runs the Guided Missile Department for the Navy, reported that we already have half of the equipment for push-button warfare, all tested and ready for action. In spite of the top-secret label attached to most information of this sort, we are allowed to say that the equipment is a big, new push-button. That's right, we now have the button. Of course, the Navy, as well as our other armed services, is pushing work on guided missiles as fast as they can, and we'll have them just as soon as our scientists and engineers solve the maze of problems standing in their way. But that day may be many years from now. No, we won't have guided missiles overnight. There are many more problems involved, gang, and in just a few minutes I'll be back. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. A mysterious organization, unnamed, but symbolized by a jagged streak of lightning, has suddenly encroached on the activities of private pilots and airport owners in the United States. And Hop and Tank find themselves right in the midst of it. For returning to Lakeville after a flight in which they had witnessed operations of this organization on 2 separate occasions, they were visited by 2 men who made a startling proposition. As we continue now, Hop and Tank are in their office, angrily telling Gail Nolan of the visit.
They were going to do us a big favor, Gail. They were going to allow us into the organization. We'd have the privilege of becoming full-fledged members.
At $1,000 a year.
I got so mad I could have...
Still haven't cooled off enough to make sense, Hop.
I can't help it. Things like that really burn me.
Well, take a couple of deep breaths, and when you simmer down, start talking. But slowly.
What's there to talk about? There was a couple of
Yes,
rats.
I really would like to know what you're both raving about.
Okay, Gail. Do you remember what happened yesterday on our flight from New Orleans?
That Stinson that was playing around and the guy at the airport who wouldn't let us refuel.
Of course I remember.
You remember the insignia, the streak of lightning in a circle?
Listen, I'm waiting to hear about things I don't know.
We're getting to it.
About an hour ago, 2 men paid us a surprise visit. One of them, who did all the talking, introduced himself as Brown.
Yeah, and he called the other guy Luigi. Honest, he looked like Frankenstein.
And they were members of this organization?
Yes. They offered us a chance to join up. Can you imagine that?
Well, what does the organization do?
It keeps you from having accidents.
Accidents?
Yeah, it's a sweet little racket.
The old protection game. What you really do when you sign up with them is pay blackmail to keep them from causing the accidents.
Well, you told them you wouldn't have any part of it, didn't you?
In great big capital letters.
Well, then what's all the fuss about? Since you refused, they can't do anything about it.
That's what you think. Tank showed Gail the papers.
Where'd you throw them?
Oh, they're on the floor near the wall there.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Look, they're all crumpled.
Yeah, I lost my temper.
Well, this really must be getting you. You lose your temper about once every other year.
Well, when people start riding roughshod over others and terrorize them into submission, I blow my top. We fought the war on account of that, and I won't stand by and let it start up again.
Yeah, I tried to smooth them out.
Take a look at them, Gail.
What? These pictures, aren't they of our plane?
Right.
Well, when did...
Read what it says on this paper.
Well, it's a complaint to the CAA about your reckless flying.
Exactly.
Hop, you never flew recklessly in your life.
Remember yesterday, Gail, when that Stinson started to edge in on us from the right and Hop drove him off by banking in on him?
Yes?
I was sucked into a trap.
How?
Well, according to air traffic regulations, when 2 planes are flying courses that will cross each other, the plane on the left gives way to the plane on the right. With these pictures, Brown can prove I came in on him from the left, the wrong side, not allowing him to cross in front of me.
Well, that wasn't the case at all.
How can we prove it? You can't buck them pictures.
Tank's right.
Wait, let me understand this. The man called Brown left these pictures with you and this paper to force you into the organization?
Yes, another form of blackmail. If we don't join up, the complaint will be filed with the CAA. Then guess what'll happen to my license?
Oh.
We're sitting pretty, ain't we?
Hop, what are you going to do?
I don't know.
You won't join.
Not in a million years.
What about the complaint, then?
I'll let them file it. I'll just have to fight my way out somehow.
But in the meantime, they'll be back, won't they?
Oh, yes. Brown promised us a return visit.
I hope he keeps his promise. I want to give him the glad hand right in the teeth.
Hop,
What's the matter, Gil?
I just remembered that airport down south was bombed. Suppose they try that here.
Yeah, they wouldn't dare.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Well, can't you do anything to, well, forearm yourselves? Prepare for Brown's next visit?
Wait a minute. Maybe there is something.
What?
We're certainly not the only ones who've been hit by the organization. They must be spreading out all over.
Sure.
Gil, take that list of airports I have in the desk and call every one of them in a radius of, 500 miles. See if they've been approached and find out what each one of them has done about it.
What'll that prove?
Maybe nothing, but it'll certainly give us a line on how strong the organization really is. Then we can work from there.
I'll start calling right now.
Thanks.
Hey, maybe it's Brown again.
Could be.
Now be careful, boys.
Oh, be careful, all right. I'll part his face right down the middle. Watch it, Tank.
Come in.
Is Mr. Harrigan here?
Who wants to know?
Well,
Come on, spill it.
Easy, Tank. I'm Hop Harrigan. What can I do for you?
Oh, well, my name's George Dudley. I want to take flying lessons.
Oh?
Well, come in, Mr. Dudley.
Thanks.
This is Miss Nolan and Tank Tinker, my partners.
How do you do?
Hello.
Hi.
You live here in Lakeville, Mr. Dudley?
Yes, moved here a couple of weeks ago.
Well, have you ever done any flying?
In a regular airliner, yes.
But not in a private plane.
I was in a Piper once.
Well, when would you like to begin?
Well, as soon as I can. I've already gotten my medical certificate. Here.
Oh, thanks. And your student's permit?
Oh, I've applied for it. It hasn't come through yet.
Well, that's all right. You won't need it until you're ready to solo.
Hop,
Yes, Gil.
why don't you take Mr. Dudley up for an orientation flight right now?
Oh, Gail, we got to get this other thing straightened out first.
Look, the airport still has to operate, doesn't it? And until I make those phone calls, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, Gail's right. Take Mr. Dudley out to the hangar tank, show him the PT-19, and get it warmed up. I'll be out in a few minutes.
Okay. Well, we're going up right now?
Why not? If you want to fly, let's get started.
Well, swell.
Come on, Mr. Dudley. I'll show you the ship you're going to use.
Okay, and call me George, will you?
Sure thing. Go ahead.
Thanks. Now, Gail.
I'll get to work on those calls right away.
And listen, if Brown and that pal of his come back while I'm upstairs...
Hank will be here, so don't you worry. Go on out and do some business and forget this whole rotten thing. I'm sure we can lick it.
Gail smiles her confidence, and when Hop leaves the office, plunges into the task of calling all the airfields within a 500-mile radius of Lakeville. She begins by checking the list carefully, marking the ones within the specified area. But when she hears the engine of the PT-19 roar into life, she walks over and opens the door to watch the takeoff. She sees Hop and Tank give the young student final instructions. Then, with Hop in the front cockpit, the plane taxis out to the runway. Tank slowly lumbers back to the office, a puzzled frown on his face.
What's the matter, Tank?
Huh? Oh, I didn't see you, Gail.
Why the frown?
I don't know. Something ain't exactly sitting right with me.
Something you ate, no doubt.
This ain't no time to make wisecracks.
I'm sorry. What is it? You still worrying about the organization?
Yeah. And that Dudley guy.
What about him?
If he's a student, then I'm a plumber.
I don't understand, Tank.
Well, it ain't nothing I can put my finger on, but it's just the way he acted when I showed him the plane, the controls, the instruments, everything. I got a feeling he knew all about him already.
Did you tell Hop?
I didn't get a chance. I don't mind saying I'm worried. Plenty worried.
But even as Tank confides his fear to Gale, the engine of the primary trainer roars into action out on the runway, and Hop sends the small ship rocketing into the air. Are Tank's fears justified? We'll know in a moment, gang, so stand by. Say, gang, much of the work still to be done on guided missiles involves experiments in totally unknown fields. For this reason, much of the effort up to now has been devoted to pure research. As evidence of the Navy's efforts in the guided missiles field, they are using most of their budget for research. With the Army and Air Force also working on them, a lot of care must be taken to make sure the work of one branch is not duplicated by another. Unification of our armed forces under the Department of Defense has led to a wonderful spirit of cooperation, and duplication of effort is kept down to a minimum. While practically all of the basic problems in the guided missiles field are encountered and are under study by all services, the results have to be different. The Army is primarily interested in a missile that can be launched from the ground. The Air Force wants one for use on planes, and the Navy is aiming at a guided missile to be fired from ships. Right now, much of the testing is in the hands of the Navy. The firing of long-range or high-altitude missiles on land can be dangerous to anyone living around the firing site. The Navy can take the guided weapons to untraveled sea areas and fire them from shipboard. On these tests, every phase is strictly controlled. Considering the tremendous cost of the missiles, every possible bit of information must be squeezed out of each firing. The problems our scientists have run up against so far in the field of guided missiles show they face a tough job, but they're working closely with the military branches and pushing ahead bit by bit. The question now isn't whether we can have guided missiles, but when we can have them. Gang, get ready now to take your place in the air, for always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Taking off in a PT-19 monoplane to give George Dudley an orientation flight, Hop has climbed to an altitude of 6,000 feet and flies in lazy circles as he talks to the young student flyer through the Gosport tube.
How do you feel, George? Everything under control?
Everything's just fine, Mr. Harrigan. Having a swell time.
Good. And listen, if we're going to fly together, you'd better start calling me Hop.
Okay, Hop.
Now, you see the control stick right in front of you? Now, wiggle it.
Yeah, I see it.
Grab hold of it around the rubber grip on top with your right hand, but not too tightly.
I have it.
Now, put your feet in the rudder pedals. They're down on the floor in front.
Uh-huh.
Don't put any weight on them. Just hold your feet on them lightly.
Yeah, I am.
Keep the stick centered, straight up.
Right.
Feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Well, I've got news for you. You're now flying the ship by yourself.
I am?
Hey, easy. Don't Don't let her throw you.
Yeah, but gosh, I've
Just
never...
keep your pedals even and the stick centered. That's it. Now she's all yours. See how long you can keep her straight and level.
You bet, Hop. Gosh, this sure is fun.
Hop smiles as Dudley's voice rings through the Gosport tube, full of enthusiasm. But his smile would change if he could see what the boy was doing in the cockpit behind him. A pair of steel wire cutters gripped in his left hand, Dudley leans over and starts sawing at the control wires running along the floor to the tail. Who is this George Dudley, and what does it all mean? Gang, our adventure grows more exciting with each episode, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine.
Alright, everyone, that is the end of the first half of the listen-along. Have your 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and do the rest. Cool. See you in 5 minutes. Bye, guys. Yeah, music, yeah, music. Oh, I'm live. Oops. Well, uh, 5 minutes is up. Yay. Back to the thingy. Yay. Hop Harrigan. Woo.
Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. You know, gang, this is a good time to look back on the past year and see how America's scheduled airlines made out. 1947 was the second full post-war year, and the 12 months marked considerable progress in nearly all fields of operations. Probably the most outstanding feature of the year was the rapid strides made in the air freight transportation field. Domestic air freight took a jump of over 100%. International air shipping jumped 25%. Air mail volume slid down a bit, but that was expected because of the drop in mail from men in the armed forces away from home. Many navigational aids began coming into their own during 1947 also. Instrument landing systems, called ILS, was placed in operation at many major airports, and there was further progress in the use of ground control approach. The number of aircraft in operation also increased during 1947. A year ago, there were about 800 planes flying the airways. Today, there are over 950. The figures don't tell the whole story because the planes put in operation last year were of the large-capacity four-engine type, so the number of seats available took an even higher jump. The combined lines have nearly 32,000 seats on their planes, a jump of almost 10,000 over last year. We can expect that total to go even higher during 1948, for the airlines now have 300 more planes on order. In a few minutes, I'll have more interesting information on the airline's record during 1947, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Hop and Tank are being blackmailed by a false complaint of reckless flying into joining some mysterious organization which promises to protect private pilots and airport owners in the United States. In our last episode, Hop had just set Gale to contacting all private fields within a radius of 500 miles of Lakeville to learn how many of them had been approached by the organization, when a young man, George Dudley, appeared to enroll for flying lessons. Hop took him up immediately in a low-wing PT-19 trainer for an orientation flight. But Dudley was not the student he professed to be, for at an altitude of 6,000 feet, while Hop in the forward cockpit allowed him to handle the controls, he reached down out of sight and, with a pair of steel wire cutters, proceeded to cut the tail cables halfway through. Now, 5 minutes of easy, level flying have passed, and Hop calls to Dudley through the Gosport tube.
Okay, George, I think we've had enough for the first lesson. I'll take over.
Oh, we going in already?
You sound disappointed.
Oh, we haven't been up very long.
Half hour. That's enough for a familiarization flight. We'll go in, talk about it. We'll probably have a lot of questions. Then maybe this afternoon we'll try another half hour.
Oh.
There's no point rushing things.
Well, okay, anything you say, Hop. But look, before we go in, would you do me a favor?
Well, sure.
This has been pretty tame. Will you open her up, try some stunts for me?
You really want to shoot the works, don't you?
Oh, come on, Hop.
Okay, hang on. I'll put it through a snap roll. But keep your hands and feet away from the controls.
Sure thing.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here goes.
Jamming the stick hard over and opening his throttle wide, Hop roars the small trainer through a snap roll. But in the rear cockpit, George Dudley watches the tail control cables on the floor near his feet. He smiles in secret satisfaction as several strands of the already weakened cables part abruptly.
How'd you like that?
That was great.
Your stomach feel funny?
A little. Oh, but don't stop. Give me another one.
Right. We'll try a full power stall.
Easing the stick back, Hop jockeys the plane skillfully into a stall attitude. The nose rises slowly, slowly, and as the forward speed drops, the ship threatens to fall off on one wing. But he plays his rudder pedals like a master musician plays the piano, and the trainer literally stands still in midair.
Suddenly, however, the weakened control cables give way, and the ship falls off into a wild, careening spin. Hop fights the controls, trying to right his crippled plane, but the stick and rudder pedals wobble loosely in his hands. Realizing the ship is doomed, he calls out frantically.
Clark!
Hey, you're really doing it up front.
The ship's out of control.
What?
We're out of control. Open your safety belt and bail out.
Bail out?
You heard me. Go on, hurry.
But I never used a parachute before.
You'll have to now. Get going, will you?
I'm afraid.
Hey, listen, don't fold up on me now. Jump or you'll be killed.
Look, can't you straighten the plane out?
I said jump.
Okay, but how do I do it?
Jump straight out. Count 3 and pull the ripcord. It's on the left side of the harness.
I've got it.
Now bail out.
Here I go.
Still trying to control the trainer, although he realizes it is useless, Hop watches Dudley vault out of the rear cockpit, follows him down anxiously, then breathes a sigh of relief as he sees the silken canopy billow open. With a final look at the altimeter, which now reads less than 2,000 feet, and a quick check below to make sure the plane will crash in open ground, the young pilot closes the ignition switch, unsnaps his safety belt, grips the cockpit combing firmly, and with a powerful thrust of his legs, leaps into space. Meanwhile, on the field apron, there have been 2 anxious witnesses to the entire incident. Then Tank and Gale race into the hangar, reappearing within seconds in a Jeep, and race across the field.
Hop just bailed out, but his chute isn't open yet.
Where is he?
There, see to the left of the plane?
Oh, there goes the chute. It's open, okay?
Oh, thank goodness.
Dudley will land first. We'll head for him.
Tank, what do you suppose happened?
You got me.
When Hop went into the spin, I thought it was just another stunt.
Not me. I didn't like the way the ship fell off out of the stall.
But why was Hop stunning anyway? It was the boy's first flight.
Well, he didn't do it to scare him, if that's what you're thinking. Hop ain't that kind of guy.
No, of course not.
The plane just hit. There, see? Down at the edge of the field. Look, here comes Dudley. Better help him with that chute.
He'll land about 10 yards away, Tank.
Yeah, I see. Relax, Dudley. Hit the ground easy. Catch me. You kidding? Just relax. Roll with it. Okay, now stay put. I'll knock the air out of the chute.
It's dragging me. I can't stand up.
Relax, I said. I'll take care of you. There. You'll be all right now. Stand up.
I can't. My ankle.
Uh-oh. Gale.
Yes?
Come here, quick.
Hurry.
Oh, I think it's broken.
Oh, take it easy. Don't try to move it.
What is it, Tank?
Something's the matter with his ankle.
It's broken, I tell you.
Here, let me see it.
Just lay back, kid. Miss Nolan's a nurse. She'll fix you.
No, get away from me.
But I'm trying to help you.
I don't want your help. Leave me alone.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Get into that Jeep and drive me to town.
But your ankle...
I want a doctor to look at it. Now will you get me out of here?
We gotta pick up Hop first.
I demand you drive me to town right now. He's a madman. He tried to kill me.
What?
This was supposed to be an orientation flight. That's what you told me. Then he starts in stunting.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
If that's the way you run an airport, I don't want any part of you. And you just wait. I'll spread it all over town. I'll ruin you for this.
Oh, you will you?
Tank, don't get excited.
Did you hear what he said?
Never mind what he said. Help him into the Jeep and take him back to town.
No, we're gonna get Hop.
Hop's all right. He's already spilling the wind out of his chute. I'll go out and meet him.
Are you going to take me to town or aren't you?
Okay.
And Tank,
Yeah?
please watch your temper. Promise me?
Okay.
Fine. Go on now. We'll see you later.
With an encouraging pat on the back, Gale half pushes the reluctant mechanic toward the seemingly crippled boy and watches as he carries him to the Jeep, then drives off. Turning, Gale walks to meet Hop, who is slowly approaching from the edge of the field. If George Dudley should really spread his story around town, the airport will suffer a black eye. Gang, you won't want to miss the gripping climax of today's episode, so stand by. Looking back over the record of the scheduled airlines for 1947, we see that more people traveled by air than ever before, and they traveled all over the world, both on business and pleasure. 6 months ago, there was a certain amount of pessimism about winter transatlantic air travel. Well, today, it's nearly vanished, for United States flag airlines are getting more traffic than they can handle. But that doesn't mean that all is well, however. From this end of the Atlantic, there's business aplenty. But it's getting harder and harder for Europeans to obtain the necessary permission and dollars to fly to the States. It's expected that air freight from Europe will pick up now that duties on many products have gone down. Cargo from Germany is increasing steadily these days, and a year ago that country was flat on its back. But German industry, as I say, is picking up. There's still a heavy amount of air freight going eastward across the Atlantic to supply Army and Air Force personnel still in the occupied areas. As for Russian air travel, there's so much red tape connected with obtaining visas to Russia that both passenger and cargo traffic to that country is very restricted. However, they tell us that Russian air travel offers more thrills than other services. A group of American Overseas Airlines traffic managers who met recently in New York say the Russians apparently are using planes with bucket seats, and they fly them 300 feet above the ground. And that, anyone will admit, is a little too close for comfort. You know, fellas and girls, the airline set a tremendous record during last year, and it looks as if this year will be even better. So get set now to enter aviation as a career, and always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. A half hour has passed since the crash of the PT-19 at the edge of the airport after suddenly going out of control, and Hop and Gale are in the airport office. The young pilot is pacing up and down in bewilderment.
I don't get it, Gale. I honestly don't get it. There was no reason for that ship to conk out.
Have you examined the wreckage?
No, I want to wait till Tank gets back. And don't let me forget to make out a report to the CAA.
No, of course not.
Another thing. Why did George Dudley say I stunted against his wishes? He asked me to stunt. What about his ankle? Was it really hurt?
I really can't say. He wouldn't let me touch it.
Funny.
The whole setup is funny. Don't mean ha-ha either. Oh, that must be Tank.
Good.
I hope he kept his temper under control. He was just about ready to start slugging when they left.
Hop, you okay?
Oh, yes, fine, Tank.
That little sniveling punk.
Tank, you didn't forget your promise.
Oh, but it took an awful lot of willpower. He kept whining all the way in about how you tried to kill him, how you was a reckless flyer, and how he was going to get back at you.
Really?
Boy, I wanted to boot him out of the Jeep a half a dozen times, bum ankle or no bum ankle.
Where did you take him, Tank?
To Doc Crowley. He didn't want to go, but I made him. I wasn't taking no chances. He would have built the whole thing up into a busted back before he was through.
Nice going.
Well, what did Dr. Crowley say?
I didn't hang around. I wanted to get back here.
I think I'll call him.
Oh?
Yes, I'd like to find out how badly that ankle was injured.
Good idea.
Number's 391, isn't it?
Yeah.
Operator, 391, please.
Hey, you don't think he was faking, do you?
Hello, Dr. Crowley? Oh, this is Gail Nolan. Just fine, Doctor. And you? Good. Tell me, a young man by the name of George Dudley was taken to your office a few minutes ago with an injured ankle. How is... Beg your pardon? Well, he was there. Tank, you did take him to Dr. Crowley's office, didn't you?
Yeah, I helped him to the front door myself 15 minutes ago.
What is it, Gail?
He was there about 15 minutes ago, Doctor. Oh? I see. Well, I'm sorry I disturbed you, Doctor. Goodbye.
He wasn't there?
No. There hasn't been anyone to see the doctor in the last half hour.
Hey, what is it?
I'm beginning to smell a rat. Come on, Tank, let's take a look at that plane.
Okay, but I don't get it.
You will in a few minutes. Gail.
Yes?
Call the town hall, check the registry, and find out if anyone by the name of Dudley moved into Lakeville in the past couple of weeks.
Right.
Come on, Tank, we'll take the Jeep.
Oh, no, we won't.
Huh?
We got company.
Company?
Yeah. The Rover boys themselves.
Hop looks up, startled, to see the door of a large black sedan open and two familiar figures step out. First, the towering, menacing Lucci, who makes way for the short, dapper Mr. Brown, representative of the mysterious organization. What will happen on this second visit? And what is behind the behavior of the so-called flying student, George Dudley? We'll find out in our next episode, gang, so don't fail to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind, southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode of the adventures of Hop Harrigan. You know, gang, it's pretty common to see fish carts on city street corners even today. But now, those lowly carts have, for the most part, taken to the air. I mean, the planes are going into the fish business. Up to now, fish were sold only in areas right near where they were caught. But now, there's a new business out in San Diego, California, that's going to put fish on the market while they're still wriggling. And here's how the service will work. Every day, an amphibian plane will make the rounds of fishing boats working the grounds off the coast of Southern California. Landing on the water close to the boats, the planes will pick up loads of barracuda, perch, kingfish, rock bass, and other species that tend to spoil quickly. With the load safely tucked aboard, the amphib will make the rounds of cities within 100 miles of San Diego. The new company estimates they can deliver a ton of super fresh fish to markets in 3 or 4 hours. Well, previously, it took 3 or 4 days of travel by boat and truck. The fishermen themselves are pretty happy about the new idea, for it saves them the trouble of carrying ice to and from the fishing grounds. Also, it gives them more time to do the actual fishing. Under ordinary conditions, many fishing boats have to head for port with only partial loads because the fish would spoil if they stayed out of the water too long. Because of the speed and versatility of the amphibians, the fisherman can catch more fish, and the consumer gets his fish fresh out of the water. In just a few minutes, gang, I'll be back with more aviation news, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Trouble in the form of a jagged streak of lightning representing a mysterious and powerful organization has dogged Hop's and Tank's footsteps ever since their return to Lakeville. And in our last episode, a new difficulty arose from another quarter. Hop had taken a young man, who professed to be a student, up on a familiarization flight, and the PT-19 in which they were flying suddenly spun out of control. Hop and the student, George Dudley, parachuted to safety, but Dudley accused Hop of reckless flying and threatened to ruin Hop's reputation. Suspicious, the young pilot and his mechanic pal were just leaving the office to examine the wreckage of the trainer when a large black sedan drew up in front of them, and 2 men stepped out. The smiling, arrogant Mr. Brown and his partner, Luigi, representatives of the organization.
Well, Harrigan, going someplace? I'm glad I caught you.
Are you? Listen, you guys, we already told you we didn't want nothing to do with your racket.
I thought maybe you changed your minds, chum.
No, we ain't. Now climb back into that car.
Wait, Tank. Brown, what made you think we changed our minds?
Oh, figured you saw the light and would want to come over to our way of thinking.
What do you mean, saw the light?
Hop, I just spoke to the Greendale field and I... Oh,
Get back inside, Gail.
all right, then.
Go on. You were asking me something?
Yes. Why did you think we changed our minds so soon?
Oh, you must have studied them papers I gave you.
I have. Anything else?
Well, I understand you had a busy afternoon.
Meaning what?
It isn't good business to crack up a ship when a student's making his first flight, is it? Especially when you try to scare him.
Wait a minute. So that's it. I thought so.
Hmm? You thought what?
You sent that kid over here. It was a trick.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Another cheap, petty blackmail scheme to force us into your organization. If we join, the kid won't say anything.
Well, I guess we can persuade him to keep his mouth shut. You see? It's like I told you. The organization gives you protection.
Hop, I'm fed up. I'm going to toss him clear into next week.
I wouldn't start anything, Tinker.
No, just watch me. Wait, Tank. Wait, nothing.
Take him, Luigi.
Tank, look out.
Tank!
You should know better than to tango with an ex-wrestler.
Tank, you all right?
Yeah. Wind was knocked down on me.
Well, how about it, Harrigan? Yes or no?
Get off this field.
Stubborn, aren't you? The boss isn't going to like that very well. Okay, come on, Luigi.
Yeah.
Don't think this is the last you'll be seeing of us, Harrigan. It isn't. We'll be back tomorrow morning, and I think by then you'll change your mind. Okay, Luigi, let's go.
Dirty, rotten punk. Tank, are you sure you're all right?
Yeah, I'm mad, that's all.
Hop,
Huh? Oh, yes, Gail.
thought I heard the car leave. What happened? What'd they say?
Same story, another pitch to join the organization. And don't bother checking up on George Dudley.
Oh?
He was a plant. 10 to 1, we'll find out he did something to the trainer to make it crash.
And if you don't sign up, he'll spread the word that you're a reckless flyer. He'll drive other students away.
That's the way it adds up. Well, look, Gail, what did you want to tell me before?
Oh, I've called 5 of the airports near here. 4 of them are already signed up with the organization, but they're just small landing strips, really, not terribly important.
They give you any dope?
No, they refuse to talk.
And the 5th?
Field at Greendale. The owner, a man by the name of Harry Charles, admitted he was just about ready to give up and sign, but If you know of any way to fight the organization, well, then he'll throw in with you.
Fine.
Yeah, what good does that do us?
At least we won't be alone.
And he still wants to fight if he can.
That's all we need for a beginning, and he may know a little more than we do, too.
What, for instance?
The name of the boss?
Boss.
The one who's at the head of the organization. I'd like to know who he is. Gail, you call the rest of the fields on that list. Find out if there are any others still holding out.
Right.
And call Harry Charles back again. Tell him we're coming out to see him right away. We'll be there in about 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Tank, you get the Beechcraft warmed up and ready. It's way past time for us to start slugging.
His lips a thin line of determination, Hop snaps out his orders, and Tank and Gale jump into action. 15 minutes later, the boys are airborne in their Beechcraft, heading for the Greendale Airport, 100 miles to the east.
You checked the plane carefully, didn't you, Tank?
And how? Went over every square inch of her. Control cables, braces, engine, everything. Ain't taking no chances.
Good. Uh-oh, heads up.
Huh?
We have company.
What do you mean?
There, cutting in from the left. Coming fast.
Hey, it's a Stinson.
Check.
The same one?
There's the lightning insignia on the fuselage.
What the dirty rats. What are they going to try now?
I don't know, but this time I'm ready for them. Reach in the back and get the movie camera.
Camera? I didn't know you brought it along.
From now on, we don't go anywhere without it.
Here you are.
You handle it. Take shots of everything they do.
Hey, they're coming in awful close.
We're holding course no matter what they do. Stand by with that camera.
I'm ready.
I think they'll cut in front of us. Go on, start shooting.
You bet. Wow, they are cutting in front of us. It's going to be close.
Never mind, keep shooting.
I am. Okay, got him.
Good. Stand by, they'll probably make another pass at us.
Boy, they sure got that plane souped up. Flying rings around us.
And did you notice who was at the controls?
Now,
Our ex-student, George Dudley.
what a little punk. Hey, what's he doing now? He's way ahead of us and on the right. He's banking in.
Start shooting.
What for? He ain't done nothing yet.
He will. Start shooting. Straight ahead and adjust the focus to get a shot of our instrument panel.
Okay, if you say so. Hey, he's coming back now.
Uh-huh. Just as I thought, right on our course.
Hop, he's coming for us head on.
Keep that camera going.
But Hop, he'll smack into us.
That depends on Mr. Dudley. I'm holding course.
As Tank continues to operate the movie camera with now trembling fingers, Hop keeps the Beechcraft forging steadily ahead, straight for the onrushing Stinson. But neither plane wavers an inch. We'll know in a moment, gang, who breaks first, so stand by. If you've been listening to Hop Harrigan every day, gang, you've heard me talk about the XS-1. That's Bell Aircraft Company's experimental rocket-propelled fighter plane now being tested by the Air Forces. To go into the background of the XS-1 for a few moments, it was designed and built especially to crack through the sonic barrier. For years, scientists have been wondering what would happen to an airship manned by a human pilot if it traveled faster than sound. The tremendous development of aviation during the war brought the speed of propeller-driven planes up to about 450 miles an hour on level flight. Jet planes speeded things up, and ships began getting into the 500 and 600 mile an hour class. Over in England, a plane was designed which had the power to exceed the speed of sound. But when the pilot turned the jets on full, the plane hit the invisible barrier and smashed into pieces. When the XS-1 was complete, it was decided to test it out slowly and gradually work up to the sonic barrier instead of making one grand attempt at breaking through. For some time, there hasn't been much news of the Bell rocket plane, but then the other day, a story came out claiming that it had broken through the barrier. Well, of course, the report was unofficial, and all the way down the line from the Muroc, California test base to Air Force headquarters in Washington, the story was denied. Well, only time will tell. But when it's officially announced that a plane has flown better than 750 miles an hour, one of the major milestones in aviation will have been passed. You know, gang, aviation is growing bigger all the time. If you get in on the ground floor when you're young, there's a good chance of working your way up. So plan now to make your career in the air. And always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Flying to the Greendale Airport to confer with Harry Charles, another field owner who is trying to hold out against the organization, Hop and Tank encountered a Stinson marked with the infamous lightning insignia and piloted by George Dudley. This time, however, the boys are prepared. Tank takes motion pictures of what is happening. Now, Dudley is roaring toward the Beechcraft head-on, threatening a disastrous mid-air crash.
The kid's crazy, Hop. He'll kill us all.
Maybe. Let's see how good his nerve is.
Less than a half mile away. Somebody's got a break.
I won't. Keep that camera going.
I am, but gosh.
He's got more nerve than I thought he had.
Give it up, Hop. Cheer off.
Now.
Open them pearly gates, St. Peter. Here we come.
Tank, he's wavering. There he goes. He's diving out.
Get that stick back. Right. Gosh. Another coat of paint we wouldn't have made.
Where's he now, Tank?
It's a way back. He ain't turning. He's had enough.
I thought so. You got the pictures all right, didn't you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, round number 1 for us. Now let's see what Harry Charles can tell us.
This fellow by the name of Brown showed up here about 3 days ago. Told me about the organization and asked me to sign up. Well, I said I'd think about it. When he showed up the next morning, I told him no.
Oh, did anything unusual happen after his first visit?
Well, a student wiped out his landing gear coming in after his first solo.
Student? What was his name?
Dudley.
Uh-huh. He got as far as solo with you?
Well, he showed me his log, and I took him up for a checkout. Seemed like a good enough flyer, so I let him go up alone.
And I suppose he complained about your maintenance.
Yeah. Say, how did you know?
Something similar happened to us. Go on, Mr. Charles.
Well, the second time Brown came around, he wasn't so friendly. Started hinting around about accidents happening and such. I didn't like it, so I told him to beat it. I didn't want no part of his organization.
Then?
Said he'd be back.
I suppose something else happened.
Yes, my gas pumps were knocked over.
Murder. They really did a job on you.
I'm not dumb, Harrigan. I know what the score is. I figure Brown did it.
Well, what happened when he paid you a third visit?
I tried to talk him out of it, but he brought his boss along.
Uh-huh.
Some of the things that fellow said made my hair curl. So I promised to sign up.
You said you saw the boss of the organization. Who is he?
Oh, he's a big fella. Must weigh around 250 pounds. Smokes cigars.
You mean Luigi?
Oh, no. This fellow had a funny name. Talked kind of funny, too.
No, don't you remember his name?
Let's see. Yeah, now I do. It's...
Hey, stop! Chopper, Jenny, keep down, Tank. He might shoot again.
Hey, they're getting away. Come on, Hop.
Wait, Tank. Look.
Oh, my gosh. Mr. Charles, he's shot.
As the powerful roar of a heavy car fades in the distance, carrying the mysterious assailant to safety, Hop and Tank crouch over the still figure of Harry Charles. Hop feels for his pulse, then shakes his head slowly. So the organization strikes again. Gang, how can Hop and Tank possibly fight against murderers? We'll learn more in our next suspense-packed episode, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast. Ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Say, gang, one of these days, airline passengers flying into Detroit will get a pleasant surprise, for it's in that city that the first movie theater in an airline terminal will be opened. It'll be possible for a passenger to summon the stewardess and ask her what's playing at the airport. The movie house will be ideal for passengers who have an hour or so to kill between planes, or for people waiting to meet someone. The theater will be operated by Airline's Terminal Theaters, and the company admits the Detroit venture is an experiment. If it works out well there, the chances are that movie houses will be opened in airports throughout the country. Present plans call for showing mostly newsreels and short subjects, with a few cartoons thrown in. That way, customers won't have to leave in the middle of a long picture to catch their planes. As you know, many railroad stations now have newsreel theaters, and from this end, it looks like the airport idea is a cinch to catch on in a big way. In addition to motion pictures, the new theater will offer direct teletype news service for patrons. There will also be a new service called Visumatic. This is a system whereby plane arrivals and departures and personal messages will be relayed from the terminal dispatcher onto a small screen alongside the large movie screen. Looking into the future, it's very possible that the airport theater of 5 years from now will have television. Electronic engineers are working on a large-screen television system. In fact, it's been tried out already. I'll have more aviation news for you later, gang, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. In an attempt to work out a method of combating the mysterious organization which threatens to gain control of private flying in the United States by blackmail and terrorism, Hop and Tank flew to a small airport at Greendale, 100 miles east of Lakeville, to confer with Harry Charles, the owner. He had also been approached by the organization, and in our last episode informed the boys that he was on the verge of signing up unless they could think of some way to fight back. Hop questioned him about the boss of the organization, and Charles was about to reveal his identity when suddenly 3 shots rang out, and Charles fell to the floor. As a heavy car roared away, Hop and Tank knelt beside the airport owner. The young pilot felt for his pulse, then shook his head slowly.
He's gone, Tank.
Oh, gosh.
Never knew what hit him.
Poor guy. The dirty murdering rats. Come on, let's get him.
It's too late.
Too late, my eye. We got a plane, ain't we?
By the time we got into the air, they'd be miles away. We don't know which way they went or what the car looked like.
It was the black sedan Brown and Luigi used.
Did you see it?
No, but it must have been them. They killed him to shut him up, to keep him from telling us who the big boss is.
That's obvious, but we certainly can't prove it.
I don't need no proof. I swear when I see them mugs again, I'll choke it out of them.
You didn't do so well against Luigi last time.
He caught me when I wasn't looking. Hey, where you going?
Taking a look around.
What for?
Charles may have written something down about the organization. The name of the big boss, perhaps.
Well, hurry up, will you?
What's the rush?
I got a feeling this place ain't healthy.
How come?
It's a hunch. That monkey Brown is awful tricky.
I'll just look over this desk.
Hey, Hop, do you suppose Brown knew we was coming here?
Sure.
But how did he find out?
Remember when Gail came out of the office this afternoon while we were talking to him and Luigi?
Oh, yeah. She said something about Greendale.
That must have been the tip-off.
Boy, they sure work fast.
Nope, not a thing.
Okay, then let's get rolling, huh?
No, we still have to call the police.
The police? Are you kidding?
Of course not.
But, Hop, they're the last guys we want around here.
What are you talking about?
They'll pin the murder on us.
Don't be ridiculous.
Honest, they will. Finding us here with a corpus delicious.
Your choice of words is hardly appropriate, Tank.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, we'll get the rap.
We can explain everything and possibly get some police action on the Lightning organization.
Fat chance.
Tank, it's our duty. Now, let's see, where's the phone? Oh, yeah.
Oh, Hop, you're sticking our necks away out.
I tell you, we have to report it. We can't just leave him there, can we? Operator, will you please get me the police?
Then don't tell them who we are. Just report it and let's beat it fast.
No, Tank.
If them ain't police sirens, then my name ain't Tank Tinker.
Yeah, you're right. Hello, operator. Operator, cancel that call, please. You sure they're coming here, Tank?
Look, out that window. They're on the airport road.
Ah.
How do you suppose they found out?
The fine hand of our friend Brown again. He's trying to put the britches on us, but good by pinning the murder charge on us.
Oh, brother, what a brain. Look, Hop, we can still beat it out of here. There's a back door.
And then what? When the body's found, the whole force will swarm onto the field. We can never take off without being seen.
So we don't take off. We use our feet.
Leaving our plane behind? That's smart. Now, the only thing we can do is play it straight.
Here they are. I sure hope they believe us.
Oh, of course they will.
Hop, where you going now?
Open the door for them. Good afternoon, officer. I was just putting in a call for you.
Oh, you were you? And who are you?
Oh, it's a great beginning.
My name's Harrigan.
Harrigan, eh? Where's Charles? Harry Charles.
Inside.
Come on, Mike. Great Scott. Harry.
He's dead, officer.
Quick, Mike, huh?
Yeah, he's dead, all right. Shot.
Huh. Then that call was on the level.
What call, officer?
Somebody phoned headquarters about 5 minutes ago. Said there was a gun battle out here. Okay, Harrigan, suppose you start talking. What happened?
Well, Mr. Charles, Tank, and myself
Wait.
was...
Who's Tank?
Hey, Tank Tinker.
He's my partner, officer. We operate the Lakeville Airport.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Well, as I started to say, we were all talking when suddenly somebody started shooting through that back window there. Tank and I dropped to the floor, but Mr. Charles didn't move fast enough.
Mike, check the window. You bet. Go ahead, Harrigan. Did you see who did it?
No, we were standing with our backs to the window when it happened.
Yeah, and right afterward, we heard a car start up and pull away.
Get the license plate?
No, we were trying to help Mr. Charles.
Uh-huh. And then?
And then I started to call you, at least call your headquarters, and we heard your siren.
Sure happened awfully fast, didn't it?
Fast?
Yeah. According to your story, we'd have had to be on the way even before Charles was shot.
That's just what I was thinking.
No sign of any gun. Any footprints?
No, there's a concrete walk out there.
Better call headquarters then. Notify the detective bureau.
Right.
Use the car radio.
Okay.
Now, Harrigan, let's go over that story of yours again.
All right.
Why? He told you exactly what happened.
Sure, but I've got to get it straight. Figure out how come we got a flash on a gunfight 5 minutes before it happened. So let's all sit down, take it easy, and get the facts.
The state trooper's words are friendly. His tone is cordial, but his eyes are cold and accusing, and Hop and Tank feel a slight chill of apprehension. Their story is true, but how can they prove it? Gang, you won't want to miss the startling climax of today's episode, so stand by. Say, gang, if you were on a search for the smallest pilot of a plane, you would end up in Pittsburgh. For there's a pilot there weighing only 35 pounds. He's not a baby, and he's not a midget, and you'd have plenty of trouble trying to talk to him. You see, he's a mechanical automatic pilot, about the newest automatic pilot out. And from all appearances, it's an improvement over the gyroscopic stabilizers in use during the war. The new mechanism developed by the Westinghouse Company is so sensitive that it can maintain control of a plane even though the ship is put through complicated high-speed loop-the-loops, barrel rolls, and other tricky maneuvers. Actually, the autopilot is a second cousin to the gyroscope, which was used for tank guns and plane gun turrets. It's been through more than 3,000 miles of testing in banks, turns, dives, and level flight. Human pilots merely stood by and watched the tiny autopilot do its stuff. Here's what Dr. Clinton Hanna of Westinghouse has to say about it. The unit is about half the size of most automatic devices. It reacts to the human pilot's signals or to motions of the plane in 1/10 of a second. Then it flashes its message to the control mechanism, even while such motion is just beginning to take effect. It's really a terrific development. The brain of the instrument is no larger than a box camera, yet it can make a plane do almost anything a pilot can. The secret of the brain, or rather secrets, are 3 spinning gyroscopes inside the device. Right now, it's still in the experimental stage, but it's expected to be used soon in light commercial and private planes. It's another big step forward for aviation, gang. There's a career for you in aviation, so plan now to take your place in the air. For always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Surprised by the sudden arrival of the state police after the murder of Harry Charles, Hop and Tank sensed they were under suspicion. And when the trooper in charge asked them to repeat their story of what had happened, they went over everything in great detail. After they'd concluded, he studied his notes for a moment, then glanced up inquiringly.
So this organization, as you call it, is running some kind of a protection racket.
Yes, sir.
And you say Charles was killed because he wouldn't join?
Well, no, because he was going to tell us who the leader of the organization is.
Uh-huh. This man Brown and his partner Logie, you think one of them killed Charles, huh?
You're doggone right we do.
You see either one of them?
Oh, no.
And do you have any proof that the organization is a racket?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you don't think we're lying, do you?
I don't think anything, Tinker. I just turn all this stuff over to the detective bureau. It's their headache.
Gosh, the way you're talking...
Never mind, Tank. Forget it. Officer,
Yes, Harrigan.
how long do you intend to keep us here?
You're free to go now if you want. I have your address. We'll know where to get hold of you if we need you.
Oh, fine.
Hey, plane just came in, Joe.
Oh, yeah? Who is it?
How should I know?
Well, bring the pilot over here.
Right.
Oh, officer, if you don't need us any longer, I think we'll be leaving.
Sure thing, Harrigan. But a word of advice.
Yes?
You're a couple of material witnesses now. I wouldn't plan on making any long trips if I were you.
Well,
Or if you have to leave the state, contact our headquarters first.
what's the idea?
Routine, Tinker.
Oh, of course, we'll do anything you say.
Good.
So long, then, and if there's anything else we can do, please call us.
We'll do that. So long.
Come on, Tank.
Here's the pilot of that plane, Joe. Jumping jetties. Hop, look.
George Dudley.
Well, hello, Harrigan. Wrecking any more ships lately?
Oh, you little punk.
Hey, cut that out.
Hank, stop it.
Easy there, big boy,
He's
easy.
one of the guys in that organization. He's as guilty as Brown and Lucci.
What?
I'll find out in a minute. Close the door, Mike. And Harrigan, you'd better stick around.
A pleasure.
Say, what's going on? Where's Harry?
Oh, you know Harry Charles.
Sure, I fly in and out of this field a couple of times a week.
When were you here last?
Oh, the day before yesterday. Why the questions?
Harry's dead.
Dead?
Murdered.
Wow. I never thought it would come to that.
What would come to what?
Why, that Harrigan and Tinker would kill him.
What? What, you dirty...
Shut up.
With him spreading
Hey,
lies.
John Tinker. What made you say that, son?
Yes, let's hear it.
Who are you trying to kid, Harrigan? You and Charles have been scrapping for months. Everybody knows that.
Oh?
You were sore at him because he was taking some of your business away.
You're talking through your hat. Today's the first time we ever saw the guy.
Let him finish, Tinker.
Nothing to finish. That's all I know about it. Looks to me like Harrigan and Charles really had a showdown this time. And poor Harry lost.
A blandly innocent expression on his face, George Dudley makes a damaging accusation. Suddenly, Hop and Tank realize the insidious power of the organization they're bucking. It seems to block the boys, and at every turn. Gang, you won't want to miss the next episode in this exciting new adventure, so tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station.